This is a CNBC story. When your rent goes up 40% as pandemic fades, many tenants see big hikes. As the period of discounted rents in cities comes to an end, many tenants are bracing for steep increases that could force them to leave their homes as cities begin to resemble their pre-COVID selves again, and the period of discounted rents evaporates. Many tenants are facing a similarly unpleasant reversal. Renters who originally received pandemic pricing are now experiencing steep rent increases at renewal. Sometimes upwards of 40%. So, for example, if you're paying $4,000 a month, it's going to go to $56,000. That's a real number, by the way. If you're paying $2,000, it's going to go to $2,800. That $800 a car payment and a cell phone bill and maybe insurance.
Yep.
So said Aliyah Mohammed, CEO of Open Igloo, which allows renters in New York City to review landlords. I'm amazed this is legal. While it's true that most tenants in the U.S. aren't protected by rent control policies, some are. Meanwhile, others are helped by requirements. They may be given certain amount of notice. All right, so 40%. Tom, what do you think is going to happen here?
Rents are going up, baby, because and I'll give you two reasons for it.
Is it inevitable?
I think it's inevitable
like
because
40% inevitable?
I don't. Now, 40% I think is a good headline. It's a big spike, but it's going up.
Okay.
If you listen to the average Joe, it's up 15%. It's up 20%. You're seeing multiple markets, people talking about it, and there's a couple issues going on here. Number one, we are so fortunate that most of the U.S. Counties, because counties control the property taxes, not the states, individual counties, you do not raise the taxes on a mark-to-market basis each year. They incrementally raise them. It's like a small raise on it. But when you commit a transaction, then that's a new super step in the property tax. And what you've got here is people are buying rental homes highly leveraged. And so as soon as we get interest rates rising on those underlying mortgages under the rental house, that's pushing it up. And inflation in general is pushing it up. And I think the average consumer that's renting is going to get jammed by this. This is just the tip of the iceberg. 40%, big headline story, but this is happening.
Okay, Kai, what do you think?
I mean, this is the craziest number for me is from 57 in the second quarter to 74 in third. I mean, that's a.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? 57 to 74.
Attracting qualified people. He said the percentage of firms difficult attracting qualified. Well, I'm on the wrong story. What am I doing here?
Okay, Zenner,
no,
what do you
but
think?
the biggest thing for me is in terms of that. I spoke to Sam, and for us, the place we stayed would go up $400 for next year.
Where you're at right now?
Yeah,
per
in
month.
Delray.
Per month.
No, total
for the whole
total,
year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole rent would go up $400 and zero.
400 per month?
No, 400 total, I believe.
Per year?
Yes.
What are you talking about? It's nothing.
No, per month. Yeah, on a monthly basis.
So that's $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
That adds up. You know, when the whole rent forgiveness thing was happening, couldn't you see this thing as, where was this going to end? That lasted for over a year. And you know there was a lot of landlords that took it in the shorts in a huge way. But they were talking about mass evictions. And how, I mean, if you have any common sense, you would think that would have to happen. So what are the numbers? Apparently evictions are up 12% in September, and they're up 25% in October over August. So they're happening. But one of the reasons they're not super terrible is they had all that federal money available, right? That they had a lot of rental assistance money, and I guess some of that is getting used now. I think I saw where $10 billion is now being used by about 2 million renters that have access to it. But to use that money, you need the landlord to participate in that program with you. And I can imagine so many landlords are ticked off that these renters did not pay for a year or a year longer than a year.
And many could.
And definitely could, and they want them out regardless, right? So they're not going to participate and try to get these federal funds. They're going to get them out of there, bring somebody in there. They can raise the rent a little bit. So I think this is just the beginning of this, because there are real life consequences to not paying your rent for a year, right? And rolling the dice and taking that gamble.
But here's the thing. So this leads me to the story of labor shortage, okay? This is a CNN story. If the labor shortage continues, the U.S. economy won't be able to recover. After enhanced unemployment benefits expired and schools reopen in person, many expected workers to go back to work. In nation's labor shortage to ease significantly by September. But recent data suggests, if anything, the shortage is getting more severe. A majority of smaller firms, 51%, say that they have job openings they are unable to fill. The CEO Confidence Survey revealed that the percentage of firms citing difficulty attracting qualified people jumped from 57% in Q2 of 2021 to 74%. For the first time in decades, a scenario of wage price spiral where higher price and rising wages feed each other. By the way, you know what the numbers of how many people are fewer employed today than it was 2 years ago. You know the number?
Millions.
What is the numbers?
I mean, working workforce?
Yes.
I'm going to say 12 million.
7 million fewer today.
Okay.
That are not even going back, by the way. 7 million.
No interest.
And the 7 million people that we're talking about, they're not buying cars. They're going to their jobs. One small thing happens. They just say, I don't want to work. I go home. And they're not feeling like there's any major urgency to want to work. There is zero urgency right now to go back to work. 7 million. That's not a few. That's a lot of people right there. We just bought a building, right? This one building that we bought, and we're sitting down with the designer. And a designer comes in, and the architect. I said, so how long is it going to take to get the permits? He says, that's not a problem. You're going to get 4 to 6 weeks. I said, okay, great. How long is it going to take for us to get, the demo and all this stuff on the inside? He says, we'll get a GC. We'll get that done within 4 to 6 months. Okay, fine. Sounds good.
Weeks.
4 to 6 months, the GC. That is 4 to, not weeks, 4 to 6 months.
Also, demo and build what you designed.
Yes, 4 to 6 months.
Got it.
I said, so what's the biggest challenge? He says, you ready? I said, yes. He says, do you want glass doors and glass windows in your office? I said, of course. He says, 6 to 12 months. I said, get out of here. He says, yeah. He says, are you buying new furniture or are you bringing furniture? I said, no, it's going to be a new furniture because it's a new look with the designer. He says 6 to 12 months. I said, are you kidding me? He says, labor shortage and supply is adding up. We can't get people to work and we can't get supplies today. People are being affected by this. You saw the other car company. What is a car company, Tyler? I don't know if we have that as one of the stories or not. GM is talking about the fact that the chips are what? But I know was General Motors reveals heated seat option due to chip shortage. They're removing it. What do you mean you're removing it? So the labor shortage, the chips, this is being affected in many different industries.
Yeah,
right now.
you know what? I read a really interesting study preparing for this story, and it came out from the American Institute of Economic Research. I don't know if they have any political leanings whatsoever, but they said that this labor shortage is not a surprise to the government. In fact, they call it mandated and subsidized. Mandated because of the COVID shutdowns, right? You shut down the economy, this is what's going to happen, and they knew it. Subsidized means all the free money that they're giving out. So what they're basically saying is the people that are making these decisions are anti-capitalists. And it's a fact, and you can look at the data because the markets correct themselves. They have a way of correcting themselves when it comes to the labor pool, right? Enough people will go out there. But it's not like these people have permanently pulled themselves out of the workforce. They don't want to go back because they don't have to go back.
The job is there.
It's there. They can go get 5
options.
And you know what they've learned? Here's what they've learned in the last year. They don't want to go back to that same job at the same pay because they know they can get more or they can make more doing nothing. So the government knows exactly. This is economics 101 for governments and politicians, and they know about this, and this is happening because they want it to.
Simple question for you. The 7 million people that are not voting today, okay? Let's just play a simple game. Do you think these 7 million people, what percentage of them do you think are going to vote for more, benefits, more money to be sent out, free money? They're going to vote left? Or what percentage of 7 million is going to vote right?
They're going to vote 90% for where they can keep the gravy train coming in.
What do you think? Out of the 7 million, what do you think the
quote
numbers?
our friend Sammy, 1,000%. They're going to vote to stay home and not do much.
So the 7 million who are not wanting to go back, they're going to vote for more
of the same good
stimulus
good
checks
stuff.
to be sent out to them. Okay. Then if that's the case, if we're talking purely strategically,
it's working.
Great strategy for the people on the left. It's very strategic because you got 7 million more votes.
You got votes. And you
it's
can
a
just
solid
print
number,
money.
by the way, if you think about it.
I feel a little differently. I think you got to dive into these numbers a little bit because I read that there was 2.5 million older people that were in, moderately priced jobs, as you don't earn a lot, that kind of retired a little early. That basically said, I'm not going to go back to that. I got to live for the government. Now I'm about to get Social Security. Those people are very, very, they're going to vote for the gravy train. But if the gravy train is temporal, right, unless it's going to be a permanent shift to socialism, we're just going to keep printing money and keep handing it to people, which can't happen, right? Our structure in the U.S., the U.S. economic structure will not sustain that. Then ultimately, they want, low crime, they want lower taxes, they want lower inflation, and so they're going to swing that other way. I don't think the 7 million are completely uniquely, what someone would say, liberally minded just to keep voting for their check. A lot of them are, but I was reading about a sliver of these older people that were sort of retiring early and are not giving up what has been, a conservative value structure. They're just kind of fed up with the, the COVID mandates and everything that went with the job. And they're like, you know what? I'm retiring early.
Yeah, I have so much sympathy and respect for small business owners, what they've had to endure in the last year. And now when they can finally try to get back and they can't find workers, I can't imagine anything more frustrating than that, than having these open positions and not being able to fill them and then knowing that you can't run your business like you normally would. They're really the only ones that are affected, right? These small business owners.
It was Dunkin' Donuts with the sign on there. It says, please be patient with the length of the line. If you really want to complain about it, ask for an application.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.